What it do, baby? Welcome, Facebook. Good morning. You didn't expect that, did you?
No, I didn't.
Look, I will give Kawhi Leonard full credit for that because the man is a comedy genius without trying to be it. Like when he was being interviewed for Toronto when he first got there, and like he starts laughing, he's like, that's just how he laughs. He's
That's
a
just
very
how it is.
like apparently when he gets rebounds and stuff and block shots, all he whispers to his opponents is "board man gets paid." That's it. That's his trash talk.
Merry effing Christmas.
Oh, Larry Bird.
Three
Larry Bird looks like a very
minutes.
very normal person. You know, you look at him and you think like, he probably just like eats rice and drinks water for dinner.
Yeah.
Like, very normal. But like the man was.
That's not normal. Who
Yeah,
did you see? I'm just kidding.
Like he's very mundane, like it looks like there's nothing interesting about him except that he's, a basketball legend. And if you hear story, and Tara was probably the one that Tara was the one that first told me about some of his stories. Like the man was like trash talking like nobody's business.
Sometimes you gotta.
Mean. The thing is, what's scary about him is that he was like so vile and mean, and but he could back every bit of it up.
Yeah.
Like he was just that good. So what we got on the docket today, nothing about Larry Bird. Unfortunately. We're going to talk about Trump suspending visas. We're going to talk about the city of Philadelphia. We're going to talk about blue whales making appearance off the West Coast, which is very, very cool.
Some jellyfish with interesting use of their nasal excretions.
We ain't playing. That's the story.
Oh, yeah, that's the story.
And then we're going to talk about the greatest audience ever, which other than you, Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, greatest audience ever that isn't including Facebook. That's
yeah.
Fair,
Oh my God.
Apples and oranges, or in this case, humans and plants.
Did you know
Plants vs. Zombies, the best game that's ever
Existed?
been released for Nintendo DS?
It's come out. What were you saying, Tara?
I rethought that joke.
Wasn't gonna fly.
Facebook's yeah. I don't want to get us in trouble.
Yes, Amanda. Plants vs. Zombies.
I've replaced my coffee routine with cold brew. Make the coffee the night before. Put it in the fridge.
Brew is good.
And just wait. Or sometimes I'll leave it in the freezer on the morning of and forget about it, and then I have half frozen coffee.
And then I have coffee ice.
I mean, it eliminates having to put the ice inside it.
True.
I mean, true, but when you do that, because I'm thinking about when you blend ice in it, like you put coffee and then you blend it and it gets that really weird ice texture, and then you have to scoop out the ice.
Here we go.
Hold up real quick, recorded. Yeah. All right.
You were listening to 90.3 WMSC up in Montclair, New Jersey.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday!
Before we even start the show,
we
want to wish our wonderful co-host Tara. It's her birthday today. She's turning the big 25.
Even funnier than 24.
Yeah, but happy birthday. We hope you have
Happy
an awesome
birthday,
day.
Tara.
Thank you so much. You got me.
Yeah, we got you.
You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and this is the Boarding Buzz. I am Tara, as previously
Birthday
mentioned.
girl.
The queen.
I am. And,
I am Philippe, and of course, our wonderful newscasters here with us. How are you, Hallie?
I'm good.
But we got some stories lined up for you today. We teased a little bit with Facebook. Facebook got the exclusive look before anyone else. But we're going to be talking about Philly. Enough said. We're going to be talking about Trump temporarily suspending some worker visas and some more details on that, as well as some rare sightings of blue whales off the coast of San Fran. Some interesting stuff that jellyfish like to do with some of their nasal excursions, as I like to call them.
I love this job.
Yeah, and of course, the best audience that isn't Facebook for a
Or
concert
WMSC.
or WMSC. But first, we're gonna start out with the newscast. What do you got for us this morning?
Good morning. As cases of the corona in the South and West states rise, the predictions that the easing of state lockdowns over the past month and a half would lead to a comeback by the virus have been confirmed. And cases surpassed 100,000 in Florida. With this surge of cases now comes the fear that progress is slipping away. In Seattle, the mayor is moving to dismantle protest zones by saying, quote, the cumulative impacts of the gatherings and protests in the nighttime atmosphere and violence has led to increasingly difficult circumstances for our businesses and residents. The impacts have increased and the safety has decreased. In New Jersey, residents can now gather in outdoor groups up to 250 people, and rules on the indoor groups were also relaxed. The easing on gathering limits comes on the same day that Murphy announced that indoor dining and Atlantic City casinos can reopen to customers with 25% capacity limits on July 2nd, just in time for the 4th of July weekend. And the weather in Kingwood is 77. It's going to get up to 89. I don't know how it is where y'all are, but I'm liking the look of that.
Pretty close. Cedar Grove's 81 right now, going up to 89, low 72, and a tiny chance that it might rain.
Yeah,
Grove.
we have 82 right now here in Newark. We're going to go up to 87, down low as far as 73. About the same in terms of weather. It's going to be cloudy most of the day with possibility of rain around 3 o'clock and a little bit at night. But I know the rest of the week is going to be some thunderstorms going into, tomorrow, Thursday, and then Saturday as well.
So go outside today if you can.
Yeah, go outside
Definitely.
today and really enjoy those rays. I know my sister, my aunt, and my little cousin are going down to Sandy Hook to just walk around and enjoy themselves. But of course, they're being responsible. They're always bringing a mask with
I
them.
was going to say, I trust them.
Yeah, I trust my family.
Stay on protocol.
Yeah, I mean we've every single again, like Hallie was saying, happening down south. And the reopenings, a lot of evidence pointing towards some issues with reopening. We've been continuing to be careful here in my household. Whenever we come in from anywhere, we always take a mask with us at the very least. If not, bring gloves just in case we need gloves. I got a new car, dropped off the old lease that I had, picked up a new car, the entire time wearing a mask. Even I think the only time I ever even lifted it down was when there was no one around us, and it's been the entire day wearing it because it can get a little stuffy under there, and especially with people who might have breathing issues, it can be a problem. But again, people always recommend if you do have breathing issues and you can't safely wear a mask without compromising your own health, it's probably best that you don't step outside as much as that sucks.
Right.
It is
Yeah.
what it is.
We went to job training yesterday, which they don't know when they're opening, but it was kind of protocol, you have to. And they were for your entire shift, you need to keep a mask on. And I'm looking at a 7 or 8 hour shift. And I'm you know what? Small price to pay to come back to work. And they set up hand sanitizer everywhere. And they're everyone in the club has to wear a mask unless you're working out. They're you have to have one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there you go. I was
and look, even Usher, if he's making love in the club, he's still got to wear that mask. He's still got to social distance.
I didn't expect to hear that.
That song, that, just as soon as I heard the club, I'm just club, Usher. That's the first thing that came to mind. But on
Nelly too, even if it's getting hot in her.
But on the topic of wearing masks and sanitizer, we have this article from ABC6 about Ocean City beachgoers, as they're most beaches are open now in New Jersey, and in Ocean City, you're seeing people actually following these rules and doing what they're supposed to.
I'm sorry, I needed to have a mini heart attack because the ad popped up at full volume.
And you hear it in your headphones, because we're using headphones, so it'll burst out.
I'm sorry, I just you were talking, and then it's just New Jersey. I'm stop it, stop.
But they're talking about how there are recorded messages urging caution, saying masks or face coverings are highly recommended. Look for hand sanitizer dispensers on boardwalk railings. Corey Mormon, who is quoted here, he's just someone who visits Ocean City. Normally, like they have quotes from different people that come to visit, and he says, "I quote, I like how they have hand sanitizer so you can wash your hands, and I see people are keeping it in mind." Unquote. You know, again, there's some information about a local business in the area that's basically telling customers wear a mask, and if the customers argue and don't wear a mask, they tell them that you can't come in, or if they do wear a mask, they thank them because they specifically said. We're doing this. Oh Lord! They
There
said
it is.
they
Did it
said-
just get you too?
yeah. They basically said like we're gonna do what we have to do to keep our business open, and if that means making customers walk in and making them wear a mask, the business owner. This was a let me see find it. It was
This is
Jewelry Hut in Fisherman's Cove.
Yeah.
It's owned by Ariana Helen. I hope I pronounced her name wrong. She said, quote, they either get mad and put it on or they get mad and walk out. We try to enforce it as much as we can, unquote. She said, just wear it so we don't have to close our store again, which is just interesting to me because we had these protests earlier last month where they were protesting about wanting businesses reopening, and now businesses are reopened.
And they're yelling about wearing a mask. It's like, for me in my head, it's a small price to pay in order to live as normal as you can get right now.
I honestly hope that
Like-
it becomes a norm going forward, that when someone is sick and when there's like I want to, when flu season comes around next year, and obviously with the hope that we do have a vaccine, that this is finally something that at worst is there's a coronavirus season
Yeah.
like the flu, and the only reason why you end up getting sick from it is because you're not responsible enough and you don't get the vaccine whenever you need to get it, or if it's just a one-time vaccine and we're in a good situation like that. But I want to see this normalized to a point where I hope this really marks people in a sense that if like I have the flu, my first thought after getting medication and going to the doctor and getting checked out is let me put on a mask when I go outside to make sure that I don't infect anyone else, which is, again, people need to understand the reason for masks isn't, so people don't infect us. The reason for masks is that we limit the amount of, any sort of liquids or body fluids that come out of our mouth and nose will get trapped by the mask and caught by the mask, so that
It's
we
both.
limit.
Yeah.
Can I say
I-
something real quick?
You can say whatever you want.
Yes.
It's your birthday.
I'm going to speak on this. This is something that's been troubling me pertaining to this issue for a very long time. People that put masks over their mouth but not their nose.
Yes.
That
Oh,
drives
Lord.
me crazy.
Can I
So-
just ask you a question? If any of you people are out there like that, why? Are you not aware of how like breathing works? Is this your first time?
This is-
Like,
ma'am, is this your first time breathing?
is this your first time breathing? I'm sometimes I wonder if it is because like these people like
And you
I see,
also
like,
look
a lot.
ridiculous.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah.
Like there will be times if there's no one around me, right? There's no one around me. I'm walking down the street. I will pull it down a little bit so I can breathe a little easier. But if there's someone even more than 6 feet away from me, you will see my mask up to here. You'll see this part of my face. I'm not voguing, but you'll see this part of my face covered. Which again, let's do that. Let's have people vote to understand where your mask would be.
have Madonna appropriated again so we could teach
God.
people.
But
Yeah.
in all seriousness, like your mask needs to be up here, and then just kind of like around here. It needs to be
Yeah.
under your chin too. That's the other thing when people have it like over here, just barely covering their lips. Like that's the other end of it, which just gets it
Right.
wrong.
Yeah,
and
you have to-
Annabella mentioned about that lady that cut a hole in the front of her mask, so she could breathe better. And I'm just like,
Right.
That defeats the purpose.
My working theory right now, and this is subject to change, but my working theory right now is that, well, either it's the first time these people have ever breathed, ever,
these mouth
Um,
breathers.
or that, these are the people that genuinely don't care. That, like, are just trying to, they might not be, as insane and terroristic as the people who are protesting masks and protesting, closures and stuff, but
They're just
they just don't care. They're apathetic.
And
They don't believe they need to be wearing a mask, so they
Yeah.
just do it. So like, okay, we'll appease people and fit in.
And it's also because like it's never been normalized to wear a mask. Like you see someone wearing a mask and you're like, what are you doing? And
Yeah.
I know that because I went to Disney junior year of high school and 2 of our kids got type A flu and we had to fly home with masks on the plane and through the airport. Like it's not normalized. They looked at us like we were carrying like some like deadly thing, and it was only 2 of us. 2 people had the flu, and even then, like we weren't around them. But it's not normalized.
If you see, like, obviously the biggest thing that comes out of this is also some xenophobia with the treatment of people that are perceived as Chinese or from any other East Asian country, and those countries themselves have already very much for years now normalized wearing masks. Like even on campus, even before this past semester, and the semester beforehand, a lot of whenever you'd almost never see a white person or anyone who wasn't of East Asian descent wearing a mask because it's not normalized in countries that are not, like China, North and South Korea, Japan. And I really feel like it's such a good cultural thing that there's a possibility this becomes normal, because it's gonna, like, if you like the amount of people during flu season that you see, they're just like sniffling, they're sneezing, that they're getting all their germs everywhere. You put a mask on those people, like
you could potentially like just the rates of getting flu could decrease if you did that. Like so there's an upside, I feel like, to that.
Yeah. Our producer Amanda shared a tweet with us. She dropped it in the Zoom chat. It's from a account, Samantha Matt. IDKY people are against wearing masks. Masks protect you from coronavirus, yes. But they also protect you from running into people you know in public. Add sunglasses and you're literally in disguise. It's safe to do anything, anywhere, even in your hometown. This is my dream. Let's be honest. There's a lot of people in Newark that I don't want to run into. Mostly people that I used to know, just from middle school. So, look, I'm smart, and I know that masks protect me and protect others. But that just gives me another reason to wear them. If I see some dude that I used to go to, I graduated middle school with, like I'm just gonna be like mask, sunglasses, hat, Dick Tracy type private investigator jacket.
To avoid that conversation, I wrap myself up like the Invisible Man, just top to bottom, and then sunglasses over that.
But let's talk about real quick. It's an article from the New York Times about Trump suspends visas, allowing hundreds of thousands of foreign workers in the United States. The order was signed yesterday. It was signed yesterday. It's going to start on the 24th.
I can't read the article.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, so I'll do you a favor. It's your birthday. I'll do it for you.
Okay.
I'll read for you.
You're gonna buy me a subscription to the New York Times?
I mean, considering they offered me like a $20 subscription for a year, that's not bad.
Really?
Yeah, them and other newspapers have. I mean, obviously they've been hurting in terms of just paper sales and everything.
All right, we'll talk about this later. I didn't mean to derail the story that much.
In a sweeping order, which will start tomorrow, June 24th, and be in place at least until the end of the year, Mr. Trump blocked visas for a wide variety of jobs, including those for computer programmers and other skilled workers who enter the country under the H-1B visa, as well as for those for seasonal workers in hospitality industries, students on work-study summer programs, and au pairs who arrive on their other auspices. Au pairs tend to be like a live-in nanny. It's very big in Europe. The move is fiercely opposed by business leaders who say it will block their ability to recruit critically needed workers from countries overseas. The order also restricts the ability of American companies with global operations and international companies with U.S. branches to transfer foreign executives and other employees to the United States for months or years-long stints, and it blocks the spouses of foreigners who are employed in companies in the United States. Again, the total here is as many as 525,000 foreign workers out of the country for the rest of the year. There's always this, the logic is we've lost so many jobs because of the coronavirus. This is why he's trying to do this, but the jobs aren't being lost to other workers. The jobs are just being lost because these businesses are closing. Like, there's no logic there in terms of why. Just because you're blocking foreign workers from coming in doesn't mean that suddenly, these jobs are open. These 525,000 jobs are suddenly open. Like, no. Those jobs are closed not because of foreign workers taking American jobs, which, again, is a very xenophobic way of thinking it, when you already have companies that just outsource to begin with, where the problem should be holding those companies accountable for outsourcing jobs to more dangerous, working conditions outside of the United States and other countries
just because
that will allow
they're cheaper.
them. It just feels like it was an excuse to continue pushing his agenda of making America great again, keeping jobs in the United States, when at the end of the day that's not going to solve the problem. Even if that was your intent, even if your intent was really to protect American jobs, that's not going to protect American jobs. End of the day.
Right, because they're not being taken, they're being sent elsewhere by companies that want a lower bottom line.
Exactly. It sucks. And I have a friend, she works in HR. She dealt with a company merger where there was a company based in Canada that her company merged with. And even before, like this was around right after last summer, she was telling about how it's just so difficult to begin with to get these visa processes going, to have them approved, to have people come over. You had an entire Canadian branch being transferred. This is from Canada, a country that we have pretty close ties to, and it's pretty easy to crossing the border into Canada is pretty easy. Crossing it back over, for the most part, is pretty easy, barring you not looking very white, which I have stories from different friends who don't look white and had problems at the border, but were able to come in because they're legal U.S. residents or citizens. But
another thing to keep in mind during this is that this is once again, the more publicly outraging thing is being done to distract from what Trump is doing in terms of the VOA, which is Voice of America, which is a news network. He's currently put one of his people, Michael Pack, in as CEO of the agency, who has fired everyone with journalistic background heading into the international bureaus of the agency. So we can expect the VOA to sound a lot more Trumpy going forward, and you should definitely do some reading up on this for yourself on how the media works and how it's not as unpartisan as you might think.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate process, and it's unfortunate that this has been the MO of the Trump campaign. This is an interesting story, and we would like you to look it up and seek it out and find out how a bipartisan media that represents America in this world would be propaganda for the Trump campaign. As soon as you start putting in people that are connected to the administration, according to it, you can easily twist the story. I'm not going to say that that's what happened. Like, I'm not going to levy accusations. That is not my job here to levy accusations like that. We, especially on the Morning Buzz, we're here to provide for you not just entertainment but information. So, again, this has been the trend of the nominations. There's no spin to put on it or anything like that. Everyone Trump has been nominating has been pro-Trump, which, again, that's not a strange thing in politics. Normally, when you nominate someone, you want to nominate someone who will align with your beliefs and ideals.
Yeah,
that's pretty straightforward, especially if you're putting someone into your cabinet. But it's been very blatant. It's been very underhanded a lot of times. This does damage the ability of the free press. And we already have a president that has called the press the enemy of the people. It's an interesting idea too, because it's censorship by noise, meaning that he's not silencing people. It's like yelling over someone with other information going forward. So instead of, they can't say you can't accuse them of censoring you in terms of they're trying to keep your word out. But if they yell over you, what are you going to do? Complain that someone's talking louder than you? They'll just say, well, you're not, you see in the news cycle, something happens, there's some sort of controversy or something else, and then something else comes up with Trump, or Trump will say something else that the news will shift focus. And that's with anything. if there's a company that's having some sort of issue, you'll see the company try to put out a PR statement, or a company that just happens to release information. It's the opposite of when a company releases like a press release on a day where there's not much news going on, people don't pay attention. Activision Blizzard has been known to do that whenever they need to drop some information that people might not be too happy about. They'll drop it on a Friday night where the news cycle is slow and no one's watching the news. This is the opposite, where they'll just start throwing noise at you, and you got this salacious story and this salacious story. But they're all covering the undercurrent of what's going on. So try to be read.
Stay
Follow the
smart,
news.
pay attention, learn for yourself.
Learn for yourself and read a very, very varied palette of news. We're not, it's as much as the whole listen to every side stuff sometimes doesn't work, because sometimes both sides is, we want simple moral things, and the other side is like, but no. We're talking about, choosing different news sources that you can trust, and also understanding that a mainstream news source like CNN, like NBC, like ABC, they still have their own agendas to push, and understand that they're not, they may be against like a Fox News that is a more right-wing biased news source, but you need to understand too that you're not going to get everything just from ABC, CNN. The internet is available to you. Sometimes even through Twitter, you can find news sources. Just really search the news out for yourself and vet where you're getting your news from. And I think that's the biggest thing to take away from this. Understand that independent media is probably one of the biggest things you can support. Communication media would be great to have a gen ed course, because the kind of stuff that you learn, especially here at Montclair, our school communication media is fantastic. I mean, we're part of it. Let's be honest. Obviously, we have a little bit of a bias, but the kinds of courses that you can take here and the kinds of ways that you can understand how media works, and you have different professors that have worked in the industry, you could, if you report stories like this, you don't gain much about it, and you're not getting much in terms of pushing an agenda. You just point out what's happening in our democracy, and I think that's a good way to wrap on that story. We can move on to something that's not as sobering, but maybe something that will have you reconsider your next trip to Philadelphia.
You have a trip planned to Philadelphia right now. First question, why?
Yeah, first question. I'm talking outside the pandemic, of course, unless you need to go there for a business reason or anything serious. But this is from USA Today. The city of Philadelphia is asking people to refrain from swimming in dumpsters.
The city of Philadelphia is asking people to refrain from swimming in the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, you found this article on Reddit.
This is from USA Today, though. Reddit was just where I saw it posted. The city of Philadelphia is asking people to refrain from swimming in dumpsters after a block party rented trash bins and turned them into makeshift swimming pools over the weekend. Online news site Billy Penn first reported that a group of people rented a dumpster, filled it with water from a fire hydrant, and created their own pool. Justin Myers, who is part of the group that organizes the block party year, says they decided to turn the dumpster into a pool while brainstorming party ideas. Every year we try to better ourselves, he told USA Today in a phone interview. Last year my pickup truck was a pool, so this year we were like the pickup was cool, but it wasn't that big, so we could go bigger. He said he power washed the trash bin and put plywood and pool noodles in the bottom of the bin and then covered it with tarps.
So let me just point out
the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Let me point out.
You have to admit it's creative. Who thinks of this?
It is creative.
What water are you drinking that makes you think that that's a good idea? Which
probably the water from the city of Philadelphia.
The hydrant. They got it from the hydrant. They're like, where can we put this water?
I'm imagining them
Dumpster.
thinking that while they're trying to drink water out of the gushing hydrant, like a dog tries to drink water out of a hose. You see what dogs go.
Yeah.
My dog's afraid of the hose now. So.
But I think this pretty much sums it up. It's a user on Reddit, Type 7F, and all they put was
top comment on the story. By the way, this is the first comment you see.
Oh, great! The whole city is off limits. Which,
Yeah.
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 Like, look, Philly. I'm gonna be real with you. You're a cool city. Lots of history there.
Yeah, a lot of history.
Like whether or not you like the sports teams there's some sports teams with incredible pull.
No one's perfect.
Phillies won the World Series within this century, at least. Eagles won one recently, and give them full props.
The Eagles
They beat
won
the
a
Patriots.
Super Bowl.
They beat the Patriots.
They
You know
did.
what? And in my book, that's all right.
That's
Flyers.
not what you were saying during that one, but I'm gonna come with receipts on you because you were like, I don't know, but
Look,
it's Philly.
You need to understand that's like if the Rangers.
Ladies.
That's like if the Rangers were playing against Los Angeles Kings. Like at which point, like I hate both teams. Like
Anyway,
but
you need to recognize the Patriots
Philly.
as the supreme evil in this world. However,
they are the empire.
The city has commented on this, and the communications director for the Department of License and Inspection said in a statement they will not issue permits for block party dumpster pools. It added, "We are not screwing around, Philly."
Like
The Philly screwing around. Like, this is stupid.
like I'm not
This
saying
is 500% stupid.
Like I'm not saying I haven't done some like makeshift things. Like we had what we like to call the redneck slide here at the coach's house one time. But like the dumpster pool exceeds us putting a slide onto a
Dumpster
normal
pool
ladder.
in the middle of a pandemic.
Why not just get one of those pools? If you're renting out a dumpster, why not just get an
Just
actual
get
pool?
like the setup, like the Intex pools.
Yeah.
Just get one of those.
Just
like
get one of those.
Like at least we did that. Like we got creative on ways to fill it. We had tubes coming from the gutters, like getting the water in the pool. Like that's entertaining. But the dumpster, like you have to think about them emptying that.
It's in the middle
how
of
are
a
you gonna-
pandemic.
You're gonna flood a street, and like the only
Yeah.
reason why pools are given a little more leeway in the middle of this pandemic is because pools are treated.
Yeah.
There are a lot of chemicals in a pool, and those chemicals will kill the COVID virus. Like I don't think the virus is gonna survive against what's put in a pool.
Chlorine.
Chlorine. Like chlorine kills just about everything. And in
Yeah.
this case, the virus it does kill it. Like chlorine is chlorine. Like that
This
thing
is
is like
fire hydrant
boom.
water
It's fire hydrant water. Like
in a
no.
dumpster.
Like please.
I'm mad, Phil.
I'm mad too. I'm
Philly, we can't leave you alone for 2 seconds.
like
What are you doing?
like just because you have Gritty doesn't mean you can go off the wall all
I
the
think
time.
Gritty's running the joint down there.
Oh, I think Gritty's at home just like his googly eyes going left and right everywhere.
You know, you see some weird stuff in New York, but I just don't think that you'd see a dumpster pool. Like Philly is and I say this with all due respect, this is just my opinion and not the opinion of WMSE. Philly is like the redneck cousin of New York, like the hillbilly one. New
New
You
York
got
has
one Super Bowl ring and you decided all bets are off. We're swimming in the dumpsters.
like New York is like you at least see a New York standard for weirdness.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say
That's
it's a
what I'm
good
saying.
standard, but at least like, all right, I could see that.
The
Philly
naked
with
cowboy.
the dumpsters, the naked
Philly's
cowboy.
just like,
Philly's just like,
hold-
hey,
yeah. Hold our cheesesteak.
hold
we're
our
going-
1975 Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Hold our Stanley Cup still coming out when we have black and white movies.
They're the kind of people that would take the Stanley Cup and then pair it with a cheesesteak and be like, "Can you hold these two things for me? Like, I'm sorry if they get dirty.
Yeah,
the
like
Stanley Cup has cheese all over it. Like, that's what they would do."
yeah, they'd eat it
They
without
would rinse it
putting-
off in their dumpster water.
Philly would not have the decency to put like a paper lining inside the cup to eat it.
No.
St. Louis, there was a St. Louis player that ate pierogies out of the cup, but he put like wax paper and stuff, like the little paper
Yeah.
you get like in those things of fries. And he put in there, you got to clean those cups and everything. However, Philly would just be like, throw a Philly cheesesteak in there, we're done. Bada bing. Why do you think? I don't know why I did bada bing.
We'll
Why
just-
did that was
We'll
in New
just
York,
use the
actually.
fire hydrant water to clean it out.
Yeah, and
No
then
big deal.
the Stanley Cup has like MRSA or something at that point. Or whatever Philly or whatever kind of diseases Philly has.
If the Stanley Cup was involved in any of these dumpster parties, it probably has COVID and an STI by now.
I mean, the Stanley Cup's been through a lot. The New York Rangers were for many years believed to have not won a Stanley Cup until 1994 because of the fact that when the lease for Madison Square Garden was paid off, they lit it on fire and then urinated on it inside the cup.
Well, you know what the thing they say about the thing
why?
about the Rangers is that you got to remember though,
What?
they suck.
They do. But
Oh.
why would you urinate on a trophy?
But for why? Like, that's my question.
Exactly.
In that exact phrasing, but for why?
You could have put it out with like champagne. You know,
Yeah.
really make a
We
big
got to go to a different story right now. I don't think I could take much more of this.
Well,
And we're also, for all the people from Philly, it's the dumpster water. That's our support for when we're saying this. Dumpster.
We say this
You
out of care.
people-
We're
you
worried
people
about
really
you.
went
We're
down there
concerned.
and bashed you're like bashing your heads into the Liberty Bell and then trying to come up with ideas for different parties.
Like it's like when you're concerned for a family member that you don't talk to a lot, but you still have enough contact with.
Yeah, like my
Yeah.
one
It's a
cousin
wellness
that
check.
got really bad into drugs and no one knew how to like address it because it was terrible, but you don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah,
Philly, you're that cousin.
it's a wellness check. We're not calling
Hate
you
to
drug
hear it,
addicts,
hate to see it.
but we're calling
No,
you.
I think it would be easier to call them drug addicts. They're swimming in dumpsters. They planned this. They weren't high. They weren't drunk. They planned this.
Speaking of
They planned this in advance. This was premeditated.
Speaking of swimming, if we can switch to this next story, we saw something that hasn't been seen in a while, a rare appearance by a blue whale off the San Francisco coast with warnings to ships. So the Northern California coast tends to see a lot of humpback whales and gray whales, but it's not often that you see blue whales, the largest mammals on Earth. But as the article said, this year all rules are out the window, so it stands to reason we're getting a visitation by a gang
True.
of blue whales too. Why do they call it a gang? Is that the name for them? Or
Wear the
are we-
wrong colors. They shoot you with their blowhole.
But typically it's around August or September that blue whales will go near the Bay Area during migration, but it is the end of June. So dozens of the ginormous creatures, as the article said, made a stop by the Farallon Islands to feast on krill.
Massive.
Tiny
Aw.
little shrimp.
She's a mammoth, of course.
But
Massive.
yeah, you can see according to Google, the female whales can grow up to 84 feet and the males up to 79 feet. That's a lot of whale,
It's adorable.
They're
right?
just like, we're just gonna swim up now. Because
Yeah.
no one, they probably, like, the thing with animals, and I don't think you realize, like, they're a part of nature. They know when things are going on.
Yeah.
Like, they
Um,
probably noticed how, like, just dead the ocean's been, because a lot of people can't go out anyway. And now they're like, we're just gonna chill.
For reference, 47 of them were spotted in 1 hour near the Faroe Islands on June 13th, and the day before on June 12th, 23 were spotted. They can grow up to 100 feet long, and they can eat
6 tons of krill a day.
Yeah, and they
Oh
tend
my
to,
God.
as the article says, they tend to congregate closer to the continental shelf, where the crustaceans are more prevalent. And with cold upswells, you can get the
Do
krill
the math.
coming closer to shore, and whales will follow. Something that happened. This did happen in summer of 2012 and 2013. But yeah, whales are something of an amazing creature when you think about it. Even from the smallest to the largest, especially these large ones, they will swim up to depths of God knows down where the sunlight doesn't even reach the ocean. You can hear them singing all the time because humpback whale calls are probably the most famous. Most whales have some sort of call, and they're incredibly intelligent animals. Just incredibly, like, we talk about how intelligent dogs and cats are and a lot of domesticated pets, but animals in the wild are also incredibly intelligent. Similarly to elephants,
Elephants are ridiculously smart.
whales mourn the passing of one of their own, kind of like exactly like a human would, and it's just wonderful. And I feel like if you didn't already think that animals deserved rights and to be treated fairly, I won't say humanely because that's a loaded term in my personal opinion, but if you believe that if you don't believe for whatever reason that they shouldn't deserve fair treatment, knowing that they feel pain, knowing that they feel sadness, I feel like that should really drive home that these creatures outside of domesticated creatures deserve some sort of, just fair treatment in general.
Right. And the concern is that their population hasn't gone up that much around the last 30 years, according to Press Democrat reports. But it's cool. It's cool to be able to see these things up close because, like, it's a rare thing. Like, even when we went, they do those whale watching, like, boat outings and whatever.
47 of them surrounding the boat.
Yeah, but like even when we went out, we didn't see any. So it's a pretty rare thing. Like it's never guaranteed, even like off the coast, and it's amazing.
You got 47 blue whales around you going, "This is a stick up, see?"
A gang of blue whales.
I don't know why they're
called it.
I don't know why they're New York mobsters, but
I don't know why you gave them the voice of like 1920s gangsters.
Yeah, like
I would imagine.
Ardar.
I feel like they'd sound like the cast of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh my god!
I don't know why, but like
Do you remember from Finding Nemo? Do you speak whale?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Woo, that kind of stuff. But
those things are amazing though. Its heart is about the size of a car. Its blood vessels are so big you could swim through them.
That's
it's ridiculous.
weird to think
you
about.
you should.
I did the math, by the way. The amount of food that it eats a day is about 4 of my car.
Oh god!
4 Chevy Volts worth of krill every day.
Oh, and that's like
Blue whales go
Oh.
deep.
Blue whales run deep. They're
Run
really
Chevy
cool
deep.
though. They vocalize too.
they're chilling.
Yeah, I mean, again, animals are amazing, and I will always advocate for them. Whenever I can, and it's unfortunate sometimes you do have to put a foot down on invasive species like that because you have to do something about it. Like deer are an invasive species here in New Jersey because
They are.
because of how much the wolf population was culled off years and years and years ago. But and we've seen what happens when people try to restore the natural balance. Like down up in Yellowstone. We know the stories of the reintroduction of the wolves into the Yellowstone Park, how they began to grow, and that helped the population of a lot of those non-predator animals go down, specifically the ones they hunted, and vegetation started coming back. The rivers started to almost reform because of the ability of different creatures, and people were worried like, oh, the wolves come in, they're just going to kill everything. It's like, no, wolves they serve a specific ecological job. Like, animals don't have real jobs, but they have roles within the ecosystem to do something. Like if you were to get rid of blue whales, for example, you'd see the population of krill skyrocket, and that would affect the quality of the water.
Yeah, and there's like so many people that are like, oh well, there's like you said with like the wolves doing this or that. It's like their point. Like there is a food chain, and if you mess with the food chain, it's kind of like people with like sharks have a purpose. Everyone gives sharks a bad rep. Like I was watching Soul Surfer, Anna Sophia Robb with my mom, and I was like, that sharks like they don't attack people to attack people. They
get
can't
confused.
They can't see that well. So when you see someone like flailing in the water, they think it's a seal. And then
if I see one more movie like that though, I'm so done. I'm so over it. Like, oh my god, I was just like swimming and then like a shark bit me.
Soul Surfer's low-key fire. That's a good movie.
Fun fact about sharks before we move on to this next aquatic themed story.
Oh yeah.
The scales they have on the outside of their body, it's not their skin. So they're like little teeth that they have if you look under a microscope. They're I'm not 100% sure, but there's a chance that they're just completely smooth underneath.
Yeah, that's why when you go to like, when I go to Camden Aquarium, I like to pet the sharks.
Pet in one
Little
direction.
white spotted bamboo sharks.
I do.
I love them.
I like petting them, and it's like they're so sweet. They're just
sweet.
chilling.
They were one of my favorite things when I used to work. I used to work at zoo actually, and one of my favorite exhibits when no one was there was the touch tank, because we had cow nose rays, a couple other different types of rays, and then we had the little white spotted bamboo sharks.
Yeah, and the sharks
Like-
feel like sandpaper, but it's not like they're just like, well,
They're really
this is
sweet.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they go up to you and they want to be pet. Like these
They're
are
like, what?
animals.
They're like,
Yeah.
what are you? I must investigate.
And then once you pet them, they're like, oh, this feels nice.
Do it again.
Do it again. And you stop and they just kind of nudge your hand like, hey, stop.
Like a dog. Like when they start like pawing at you, like, don't stop.
But,
So we have another ocean story, and at this point, I would like to pause and mention we got this story how many days ago?
I want to say this weekend, Annabella said it to us.
I read this last night.
Boss found this story, and I love that the first thing that popped into her head was, yeah, the Tuesday Buzz needs this one.
It does like we've got the toilet paper story sent to us before. We know how well that ran. Kaya
that was fun.
Kaya was losing it the entire time, which is fantastic.
That was awesome.
But this is scientists learn how tiny critters make ocean snot palaces.
This is from apnews.com. Tiny transparent sea creatures make elaborate houses out of their own mucus. Now researchers have illuminated the framework within these structures. AP reports that small transparent sea creatures called larvaceans. Somebody who's
libations.
smart. Libations. Yeah.
So what you're looking at right now is a picture from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute.
I love them.
Giant larvation. Yeah, they're fantastic. Basically, they have a mucus filter that they use to collect food. They're very small. As you can see, they're only like 1 to 4 inches. They built a mucus structure.
Yeah, real quick, just to that point, the giant larvaceans are only about 5 inches long.
But it's literally they built what's basically a funnel of sorts. It's a structure that filters food in towards them, and as it says, when it gets clogged, they abandon them, and they sink towards the seafloor and become an important food source for other animals. Which again, we were talking about, this is an important ecological role. They provide food by just, I guess, having a mucus buildup that they use together. That's kind of amazing that they do that. But you see, it's just, this is the house. They literally build a house. Like, you know, it's like if we were to catch the flu or something, and we would collect the whatever comes out of our nose and slowly build like a nice little studio apartment for ourselves.
Something like that.
It would definitely bring down the house the price of houses here in Newark. We were able to do that.
But people are interested now because some of the bioengineers at Monterey Bay. I'm going to mess your name up. I'm sorry. Kakani Katajan. I did okay. It wasn't that good. I thought it was going to be worse. I'm very bad at saying the words sometimes. She was talking about how if they could kind of crack the code behind what, you know, the structures that they're building and like what makes them up on it, you know, we could use that material or like or at least learn things from it, you know?
Yeah, they believe how even just things like you help us make better filters, innovations in 3D printing, and even inspire NASA engineers, because Lord knows a lot of the engineering we do isn't just like, you know, humans think of something on their own. It's a lot of geometric things that already exist in nature. There's a lot of things like, you know, there's a reason why bees use hexagons when they build their hives. It's because they interlock so well. They're naturally a shape that connects together. Like squares are one thing, squares work fine, but there's something in nature about hexagons that works so well that bees have literally dedicated their entire existence to making hexagons over and over and over again. So something has to be going on there. And it's the same thing with these things. They secrete the mucus from the top of their heads, and they abandon them every day or so, and they become too clogged with particles. So, you know, I imagine like just a group of different animals following these things around. Like, is it gonna drop you? Oh, there's a food. Like,
yeah,
just days like, and you know, it's awesome. It's so different and weird and odd, but just really cool. And you look at the way the animal kingdom works, and it's just so odd. Like the fact that they're like tiny little fish that will follow sharks around and basically pick off whatever sharks don't eat, and the sharks are just kind of like, whatever, they're not hurting us. And a lot of times those fish end up cleaning the outside of different animals and just be like, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. What are those birds that are on the backs of I believe
Parrots.
crocodiles?
Oh.
But you know what I'm
I
talking. This one did have hesitation. Parrots.
you said on the back of it. It was worth a shot.
Pirates.
Did you really think pirates though? Was that the thing?
I
Because
might have.
I don't blame you, because that would have been the first. If all I heard was birds on the backs, I would have thought pirates.
Yeah, I thought of Pirates of the
It's a natural-
Caribbean.
It's a
Not
natural
gonna
thing.
lie.
So
They're
not-
symbiotes. They're literal symbiotes. They're in
Yeah.
a symbiotic relationship.
yeah,
Like, they help each other.
the pirates get food stuck in their mouth, and the parrot just picks
No,
it
not
out of
the
their mouth.
parrots.
No, but they clean out the teeth of the crocodile and pick up anything that might be left over, and the crocodile gets free teeth cleaning. And the crocodile's like, yeah, this is dope. Let's do this. Just chill
Like
out.
the fish that follow like whales around and stuff.
Yeah, nature is awesome and cool in so many different ways. So many different plants get help from different animals. Like ants help out a lot of different plants by taking care of any pests. Aphids and ants help each other out. Ants like literally keep aphids as kind of like stock, cattle stock, because aphids produce certain things. The human ant community.
Annabelle,
Just callbacks to the insanity. Like I wonder if there's like a
boss, I could have gone my whole life without remembering that the human ant colony is a thing.
Could you imagine?
You understand? I could have lived to be 105 and died happy.
I hate to
Without
say it,
Ever.
but I don't know what that is.
Ever.
Do you remember that
Remembering
story?
that exists.
It was a Facebook group that they pretended to be an ant colony.
No.
I think they're still
That's it.
there.
What? But for why?
That's the theme of the day.
This was during the height of the pandemic too. So like everything was
Oh,
closed.
yeah.
Oh, Amanda was still our newscast. Okay, that was during the year. That's right. That was during the year because Amanda
Yeah.
was with us. That makes sense now.
I could have
I
gone my
see the scene.
whole
Do you think there's like a
life.
spin-off aphid community that works in tandem with the ant community?
I'm going to hang up.
It's tough being a bug.
Tara's left the Zoom.
Phil, I'm going to hang up. You're talking about
Is this
an
do you know-
aphid community.
You don't want this for your birthday?
Can we start a
No.
Bugs Life?
You know what I want to do to this ant colony? I want to do the thing that one artist does and pour hot aluminum all over them.
Does he do that to actual ant holes or ones that are abandoned? Because I really hope it's abandoned ones.
Usually abandoned.
Philly people started a
Because
snot
else it
palace in the
wouldn't work.
dumpsters. Thank you, Annabella. The snot palaces inside dumpsters in Philadelphia. Lord.
That's just Philadelphia.
It's always sunny. Oh,
Philly.
That's just the
Oh.
city, dude. Philly, the city of Philly itself is a snot
You
palace.
see, Danny DeVito builds himself like a nice 2-story condo in Philadelphia, in Always Sunny.
No.
I'm the
Danny
I'm the,
DeVito.
I'm the mucus man.
I'm the
I
snot
take
man.
mucus and I build a house.
Dude, oh my gosh.
New Jersey legend Danny DeVito, who,
I
like
live in
Tara and
Duluth.
I, hates our high school.
Don't
Yeah.
forget it.
Don't forget it.
I live and breathe for Danny DeVito.
Like
and the
our
episode.
friend met Danny DeVito. Told him that, like, oh yeah, I have a lot of friends that actually went to the same high school and you. He's like, oh, that's really cool. It's like they hated it. And I kid you not, Danny DeVito laughed. And I'm like, if you made Danny DeVito laugh, like, could you imagine just
Yeah.
the power that's coursing through your body at that moment?
But do you know what? I want to bring up an interesting scientific thing.
Before we go on to this next really cool story.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying before we go on.
You know what else is good for plants? String quartets.
So, this is a story we teased in the
Ooh.
beginning that basically just said we're talking about audiences, and obviously the audience at WMSC, both on Facebook, on iHeartRadio, and on the air, is fantastic. But this is where is this opera house? Let's see. I believe it's Barcelona.
Yeah, they don't specify at the beginning of the story. It's in Spain.
Barcelona's Liceu, which is interesting because Liceu in Portuguese at least
there
means
you go.
high school, but it's the opera house. Pondering on this, the concert organizers at Barcelona's Liceu. I'm sorry, I can't say Barcelona without doing that ridiculous Catalonian thing. It's not
You're fine.
ridiculous, but it sounds ridiculous.
You're
How
fine.
they speak. But decided that as the country begins to reopen and people have reclaimed the space they lost, it should be plants that receive the honor. First performance within the Grand Catalan Concert Hall. Now, the real question is, what are they playing?
They're playing.
They're playing a Puccini piece.
whose name translates to chrysanthemums.
It is Crisantemi.
To
But
a
it's-
packed house of 2,292 potted plants.
And as you can tell, it's not just one plant.
There's
Style.
many
You know,
different
they
types
they
of
didn't
plants.
just go out and buy like close to 3,000 ferns.
Very
Like,
diverse range of.
I'm gonna
plants.
say this. It is. Sorry.
it reflects who we are as humanity.
I'm gonna say this. I wish more of like the filmed concerts and stuff would do stuff like this, like the bands and artists and stuff that are doing like the stream concerts.
I mean, we saw KBO, the Korean Baseball League. What they've been
But-
doing. There were a lot of times they put cardboard cutouts. At one point, they had all of BTS behind home plate.
Right.
One of the more
Sometimes they
recent
have
ones.
dolls that they're not aware of the meaning of.
That was a soccer team. That was a soccer team.
Yeah.
I will not stand for Korean baseball slander in this household. That was a soccer team.
But for plants, like if you think about it,
This
they
household.
put like little potted trees. Like that tree's gonna take all their CO2 and give them oxygen,
Oh, it's
just
gonna
like
be a room.
floating it around.
It's just a room of pure oxygen. A human walks in there and just passes out. Too much oxygen.
I love plants.
Plants are great.
Plants are dope. Unless
think-
like, what if you?
We're allergic to one of the plants.
Oh, that would suck.
It's
They
just
better
poison
have-
ivy.
Or just like
They-
you're trying to play like this piece you've practiced forever, and you like.
You hear clapping. Like,
you
you hear
ever
like
see the guy that sneezed into the trombone?
no.
It's the funniest thing. I can't tell you guys to do anything, but if you ever should encounter this video, you should watch it.
I've sneezed into a saxophone before, which is very hard to do. But like it was as I was playing, so I ended up playing a sneeze while I was in practice.
Yeah.
Because you can't just sneeze into a saxophone and get noise.
You know that
No, it's
is
reeded.
a talent. You know, sneezing into how.
Well, I was already blowing to begin with, and as I was blowing into it, the proper way, because with a reed you have to have your tongue a certain way, pressing against the reed to get
I
the noise
gave
to
up
go
on
through.
reed.
Like
if we're gonna talk gig stories, we
I
could,
rem-
we
I
gather
remember-
round children because we could do a couple from.
Do you remember the show that you did where you were trying to, and this is something that you used to do all the time, where you do like a really, it was either a cool jump you do or something else.
I tried to do the pop punk jump where I would bounce around the stage.
and this
and stuff.
mediocre stage just
Oh, this was at a high school in Caldwell, and people put the stage together. There's no video of this. Okay,
Oh,
thank
my
I was
God.
about to have a heart attack.
That's
Like,
amazing.
Annabelle has video of this. That means there's video of this performance somewhere.
look
in the
at
world.
that. Oh my God! First of all,
That's beautiful.
gorgeous
That's a beautiful shot.
That's beautiful opera house. You have the people there, and then just all those plants. It's very
That's a
green.
shot and a half.
Like
That's cool.
I hope the photographer that took this gets like some sort of award for this, because this is a beautiful shot.
I hope they had Venus flytraps. They're very sassy. They want to be sitting
like
there.
a couple pitcher plants in the background, like oh God, what would be the perfect plants for the two critics from the Muppets?
Probably two carnivorous plants. Yeah.
Like a pitcher plant and a Venus flytrap's laughing. It's like
I
Yeah.
love Venus flytraps. They're like the most blah. You like run a piece of paper through their mouth, and you're
Yeah.
like, that's
You
not
got
a fly.
the one thing I will say, like if you have a Venus flytrap, try not to do that too much, because that does consume a lot of
Yeah.
energy. So,
That
No,
could- that
yeah,
could end up hurting.
we had a bunch of them, and it was only one. We were like, will it move? And it
Like,
did.
how metal is that? Like, nature is like, oh, sorry, we don't have enough good soil for you. And the Venus flytrap is just like, yeah, whatever.
I'll
We're
just
going to
eat-
start killing things.
and
Yeah.
We don't
nature's like-
need good soil.
Nature's like,
But-
is that legal? Oh, there's video of it. Oh.
I love classical music.
That makes me happy.
Now, my question is, what
Sweet.
currency do they pay in? Do they pay in euros or do they pay in dirt?
Yeah, are they freeloading? Is this like a free concert?
Was it offered as a pro bono concert? You know,
Yeah,
they gave out tickets. Did they give?
I would do that though. I would play a concert for.
What if they wheeled in the plants and they actually gave tickets and the poor ushers had to take the tickets and like approve them?
Just as like part of the performance, it had to go
They
around
stuck
picking up,
the-
punching, and like
Yeah,
I'll
they
say it.
train
stuck the
conductor.
tickets in the pots of soil.
That'd be good performance art. I will give it that much credit. You know, just have like a video of like this usher doing that. And, like,
That one
obviously-
intern you don't like. All right, Jeff, you're working this event.
right? Jeff, someone who's apparently named Jeff in Barcelona. It's like,
What? I
a
don't know.
normal- Like no, just like everyone has like stereotypical names, Spanish names like Alejandro and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
the
then
one
just,
guy's just Jeff.
just Jeff. He's not even American or anything. He is born and raised in Barcelona. His parents just really liked American names.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, Jeff, we got a job. We got a job for you. See if you're a good fit for this internship.
That's like my sister's friend is Peruvian, but her name is Shannon. Because her mother really liked a specific actress named Shannon. It might have been Shannon Doherty. I'm not really sure, but there's a specific American actress her mom really liked, and she's like, I'm going to name my daughter Shannon.
Now I got a question since we only got 3 minutes left.
Sure.
If this happened in Philly, who would be in the audience?
The dumpsters.
Plants.
Ah!
Plants, but they're all orange for Gritty, and it's Gritty on stage just
Plants,
shaking.
but they're all dead.
It's just Gritty on stage shaking the little button that he has on his
Or they have like bug infestations. Like banana trees sometimes can get like those really sticky like things on the outside with all the bugs. That's every single plant.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I will say Gritty since he's existed, every Pride tapes up the little button on his stomach with Pride tape. So you get a
That
little
thing
rainbow
scares
belly button.
me.
He does, and
They water the plants with the fire hydrant outside. They just let
They
the
water the
water.
plants with
They water them with the
water.
dumpster. They back it up and just dump water into the arena.
and they're not even playing in like an opera house. They're playing in like Wells Fargo Center.
No, but what they
Flyers
do, like, here's what I'm thinking. So you have this string quartet playing for these plants. They dump the water in and they start playing the song from Titanic. For 10 hours.
There's a 5-minute sequence where Gritty does the scene from Flashdance where Patrick Swayze pulls the thing and drops the water on him. Is it Patrick Swayze in the scene or is it?
No, it's he's in that, but it's the girl that does that.
Got Patrick Swayze on the mind.
Someone who I remember so well, as you could tell by the fact that I refer to her as the girl.
I think it was like Kitty or something.
Yeah, I am not familiar with
Look,
They
movies.
do that, and then
I'm
once the
more
water
concerned about
goes-
Patrick Swayze because he
He was cool.
looked good in that movie. I'll give him that. But
Factual truth.
I imagine Gritty would do that scene and would pull the water, although I can't imagine it'd be comfortable for the guy in the costume. But
There's not a guy in a costume. That's Gritty.
this is Gritty. But we are nearing the end of the Morning Buzz. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in on Facebook, iHeartRadio, and of course, terrestrial radio. Well, big thank you to Tara for being here.
And a big thank
Hunter.
you to Tara's mom for screaming from upstairs he wasn't in that movie.
Wait, yes, he was. Dirty Dancing?
Yeah, but not Flashdance.
Oh.
Okay,
That
we'd
makes
like
sense.
to thank Annabella and Adam for keeping this show running. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and go read up on your 80s movies.
Yeah.
Do your
and,
homework.
We'll hope you tune in tomorrow. We have, of course, another Morning Buzz. Same time, same place, 10 to 11 a.m. We will be on Facebook, iHeartRadio, and everything. But you are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This is the top of the hour and the end of the show. I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and you stay safe, and you play it smart. Even though we're reopening, there is still coronavirus going around. So wear your masks, wear your gloves if you need to, social distance, and look out
Thank your
for your
plants.
fellow. Thank your plants and look out for your fellow human.
Yep.